Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast is brought to you by The Island Rhythm, the dopest reggae-inspired and Rasta-inspired designs, clothing, and everything else you could possibly imagine. Check out theislandrhythm.com. Check out Island Rhythm on Facebook and on Instagram. Once again, The Island Rhythm is where it's at. Much love. Reggae music is simple music, but it carries a message, and that message is strong. And that is a quote by Mr. Jimmy Cliff. Rest in love, my friend. This quote addresses one of the main reasons I created Hippie-Fari, the beautiful life-changing message of reggae music. It was created for social change, and its message is as strong today as it was in the 60s when the first reggae records were released in Jamaica. So welcome to another episode of Hippie-Fari Reggae Radio and Podcast, brought to you by theislandrhythm.com. Visit theislandrhythm.com for the dopest reggae, Rasta-inspired gear, merch, and all things reggae. So Hippie-Fari is recorded live in the Omen Honey Reggae Radio Media Studios in beautiful Ocala National Forest, but today we are on the road recording live in the Island Rhythm Studios in Port Orange, Florida. That's the official East Coast studio of the Island Rhythm and Hippie-Fari. So just take a second and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Hippie-Fari YouTube. I'm the only Hippie-Fari in the world, really easy to find. And I am your host, Scotty the High-Strung Hippie. Hippie-Fari is a podcast where we discuss all things reggae. So if reggae music is your thing, you're in the right place. I'm also joined here by my beautiful, stunning co-host, Shane Scott of the Island Rhythm. I've always wanted to say that, kind of like Pat Sajak used to introduce Vanna White on the Wheel of Fortune, and everyone would clap because she was so hot. So everybody clap for Shane because he's so hot. Right on. Thanks for joining me, Shane. I definitely appreciate that, man.
How many years of schooling did it take to be able to go?
I know, yeah. I've always wanted to turn letters, man. Always been envious. I'm really excited about today's show. Normally I would say tonight, but I could say this morning. This is the earliest I've ever done a podcast. It is 9:15 a.m. where we're at, so it's pretty awesome. We got up and ready to go, man. This morning we're diving into the heart of what really keeps the music world moving, especially the reggae music world. Now, not just the artists, but the people behind the scenes who make that magic possible. Now, our guest this morning is someone who saw a major gap in the industry and decided to fill it with community, education, and pure passion, and we love that community. He's the mind behind Sitns Music, an organization dedicated to revolutionizing the music industry by connecting musicians, crew, and industry professionals through free resources, training, and real-life knowledge. Now, Sitns is built on a simple but powerful idea. It's resourcefulness, unity, and people helping people. Because once again, behind every great show, behind every light cue, every flawless mix, every moment that gives a fan goosebumps, there is a crew pouring their heart into making sure someone else's experience is a dream that comes to life. So he's definitely not just a founder. He's a mentor. He's someone who's an extremely important part of our culture. He's inspired by artists like Shwazy, The Elevators, and Surfer Girl, and he carries that same spirit of positivity, teamwork, and creative energy into everything Sitns delivers. So let's welcome to the show, John of Sitns Music. What's going on, my friend?
Good morning. Thank you so much. I appreciate you bringing me on today.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much for coming on this early. We talked last night, and man, I got an email from you at like 7:05 a.m. and I sat up in bed. I was like, "Let's do this, man. This is awesome." It was definitely pretty cool, man. So, before we jump into the questions, can we talk about something that's really cool?
Always down.
Could you kind of just like your brother is one of the biggest names in our community in the reggae community. Can you just talk about your relationship with him a little bit and kind of what kind of an integral part he has played in everything that you're doing? And you kind of go ahead and tell us who your brother is, by the way.
Well, big brother is Shwazy. He
Represent Swayze.
he Man, it's been crazy watching his journey. Most inspirational. Also, like I would say that he's literally the hardest working person that I've ever met literally in my life. There isn't a point where he's not doing something that isn't like, um, I guess like business or even like family oriented. He's just
Right.
all encompassing. And he just been able to be an incredible like driving force. He is a great brother. Has shown me a lot of things. He's been also at points of like being able to drive me and show me when I'm doing wrong or doing right. But he's also the best like mentor I've ever had.
That's fantastic. He puts on one hell of a show.
Yeah.
He's all energy.
Yeah, 100%, man. That's a beautiful thing. So, thank you for coming on, man. So I'm glad you're feeling well this morning. That's a beautiful thing. Now, so for listeners who might be discovering you for the first time, I'm sure if anybody has been to a reggae show at all, they've seen you and they know who you
Yeah.
are. But
It's
yeah, you're definitely unmistakably John. 100%.
It's
it's
the height.
interesting too because I don't know exactly. I can't put into words what you do, but when I go to shows that you're there, like you're everywhere.
Oh,
Like
he does everything.
I saw you at Cat Hall's merch table, and then I saw you backstage, and then I saw you like I was like, wow, like you're everywhere. I don't know how you do it.
Well, go ahead and describe that, man. Describe Sitns music in your own words. What do you do? Who are you? Like, what's the impact that you make at every show that you're at, man? Because, like I said, you're all over the place
Well,
in a
sit-ins
good
is,
way.
I guess, yeah. Sit-ins is an encompassing, like it's crew. It is the tour managers, it's the front of house, it's the straight back line, it's the roadies, but also it's, the musicians. It's sitting next to, well, it's the musicians. It's also the trumpet players, the saxophone players. It's the sit-in guitarist for hire, the bassist. I really got, I guess, like, got a lot of inspiration again from my brother because he's has a lot of musicians come in when he's on tour as higher
Right,
ends. As
what?
me myself and like as a tour manager, that's I try to encompass everything, right?
Right.
I make sure the whole point of me being on the road with any artist is literally to make sure that the artist has to do literally nothing except for do music. That I
That's
want
beautiful.
their mindset only to be on music and what they came to do, because that like really makes sure that the performance is as raw as it can be, as emotional as it can be, and like really foster the best experiences when the artist isn't thinking about if they're getting paid at the end of the show, or if
Sure.
they're being able to sell their merch, or if they've got waters on the
Sure.
on the stage.
Yeah. So what moment made you decide this is something that needs to be done for the tour manager or for the tour, and I'm the one to do it? What was that moment that happened for you?
It's an industry. Garrett, my brother's TM, explained it really, really, really well. Who also is Claire Wright's bassist. But it just
And by
shows like
TM, you mean
the
tour manager.
tour manager, yes.
There we
It shows like the versatility of people in the industry is
go. Right.
um, we have to band together, right, in order to make sure that everything on a tour gets taken care of. There is a million different hats that and a million different chores, or things that need to get done in order to make sure that a performance, it just even a half hour performance goes well. The sound is, solid. And it's not like necessarily saying that I need to be doing this. Myself, it's just, being there for the artist and like catching all the small things that, and the small and the big things, any of the troubleshooting, just so they can also do their own thing. I learned it from Garrett. Going back to Garrett, what he said is, like this is a realm, it is an industry of just reading the room and helping out where you can. And I think like every single TM or crew or lighting director, anybody that's like progressed in the world, has said that that's exactly how they've progressed, is,
Amen.
just being there when artists needed them.
That's awesome. And for anybody that knows you or anybody that's seen you, this is the most you will ever hear John talk. That's why I wanted to get him on a podcast, man. He is one of the most calm, humble, respectful people in the world. And like I said, you wouldn't know that he wears so many hats because he doesn't run around, you know, expecting people to, telling people who he
Right.
is, telling people. I mean, you wouldn't know he was this ultimate badass because he's a very 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 humble individual. So yeah, it's an absolutely beautiful thing that you do all of this and you're a true behind the scenes guy. You know what I mean? And you represent the artist to the fullest 100%. You make it all about them, and that's incredible.
And that's the one thing I noticed about you as well is I don't know how many times I ran into you before, like right before the Surfer Girl Pro up in Jacksonville. I was telling somebody I was going up there, and they're like, "Oh, you're going to see Swayze's brother." I never realized the connection until that day, because that's how you are. You just you're that humble of a person, and it's really appreciated in this industry.
Yeah, 100%, man. And it's something that I love, that you talk about. It's resourcefulness because to do this, you have to be resourceful, correct? I mean, to be able to take care of the artist, you have to be. Was there a time when you realized that shit wasn't resourceful, and you were like, "This is why, this is why I have Sitns music to make it as resourceful as possible, so these artists can get as much help." Was there like a blunder on the road where you were like, "I got to change this"?
Actually, I had a band approach me at one time, and they were like, "We really wish that." I guess what started Sit-ins is literally a band approached me, and they said that they had been on the road, and the first 3 days, their merch manager didn't know how to use Square, or like literally the processing that the band was using, or that they had their whole setup. So that the band essentially went the first 3 days of the tour. Could have been like some of the biggest shows, without
Oh
actually
man,
having any merch sales or anything like that.
$1,000,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could be like, $3,000 a night, depending on like, the people or and like that it's not like, that's just an oops moment. Um Sometimes people just are excited to get on the road. They want to help out their favorite bands. They want to help out and, they don't know how to. And
right?
let's just be a resource instead of, a gatekeeper. Let's open more doors and be like, hey, this is how you do it. And I
Share
think that's really
knowledge.
what sit-ins is,
Yeah.
exactly.
That's a beautiful thing. Like you said, don't be a gatekeeper. Man, I was a restaurant manager for 17 years, and I used to always tell my employees, um, if I don't show up one day and the restaurant runs perfectly, that means I've done my job because I've taught you how to do everything you need to do. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper. I'm not going to hold that knowledge. I'm going to give you all that knowledge so you can do what I do. So if I'm not there, I need to be holding your hand pretty much. But like you said, that's a beautiful thing. Sharing knowledge, that's power. And that's truly what community is all about, man.
Yeah, it's taking care of each other, and
Yeah.
that's
I love that you have that you have that attitude. And I've off this podcast, I got a lot of questions for you too, because there's a lot of stuff I definitely need to need to learn, or definitely have questions about. We just had that event that you came to, you know what I mean, and we were using the square, and I kept telling my wife, I was like, "You're gonna have to get this shit set up, man. I don't know what I'm doing." Pretty
There's a lot
simple,
to
but
it.
still, if you don't, you can lose a lot of money.
Hey.
100%, man. Right on. So,
what some early experiences where you're like, or I don't know, we call it gaffes or fumbles or something like that that you had to learn from. What were some of the big ones? Because there's never a
Uh,
mistake. There's just a teaching moment.
I think that's one of the coolest things about tours, like going on tours, is that like every single tour is a brand new learning curve, not
sure,
learning curve, but you're learning so much every single day also.
sure, yeah.
Mhm.
And so I think like the first one that like you kind of encompass for any merch manager and or tour manager or anything is like getting used to every single different band's processes or anything like that.
Sure.
And when you get into the first day one, and maybe you get there at 4 o'clock, load in is at literally 4 o'clock, and it's the first time you're meeting the band, and you go through their merch and like maybe it's a little unorganized and you've got, maybe an hour to set up before doors. I think that's like the biggest flaw, or the first like not a flaw, but like learning curve, learning thing that you have to go
Right.
through is like, ooh, how am I going to do this really, really, really quick and be set
Do you
up, and then also learn their process, their
do you have
point of
one
sale.
guy like with most of the bands that you deal with? Because obviously, if you got a band that's got 8 people in it, like a big band like the Elevator or something, you're not dealing with every single person, right? Is there one person that's dedicated to dealing with a person like you, so that's your go-to? Because say you have 4 bands. I mean, if everybody was throwing shit at you, that's 30 people telling you what they want. It could get kind of confusing, right?
I think as a tour manager, that's literally kind of the role that you step into. As a
Sure.
merch manager, it's a little different. And like I think you are, you normally are your point of contact is the tour manager if there is a
Sure.
hierarchy. But a lot of the times, I guess like maybe there's not, and it's just your merch manager and the band, and maybe the setups of the tours are always different. But I think. When it's me, a merch manager, and 4-person, 5-person band, yeah, there's typically like a band leader, per
Yeah,
se. I don't ever
right.
want to say that, but
Spokesperson,
Right.
like
yeah,
a
yeah.
spokesperson, like a media person. Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but typically, like, there's always one. Yeah, there is. I would say, like, normally there's one more really, really, really creative person on the band that does like the art stuff. I had to say art creative, because but obviously I'm part of the band. They're all really, really, really incredibly really creative. But um, yeah, like with Sons of Paradise, it's Jordan, actually, or Matt. It's fun thinking of like the dynamics. I think that's like part of being a TM also is like making sure that everybody is taken care of and making sure like you kind of are thinking for everybody else before you think of yourself.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, I love everything that you're saying. Like the fact how it's you make it about community, you make it about teaching people, so everybody can coexist together, so we can all make the scene a beautiful thing. Um, so could you kind of just maybe walk us through like the from kind of the beginning, from the concept to the reality of sit-ins? You know what I mean? Because you had to be sitting there probably like in school or doing something one day, twiddling your thumbs. You're like, I'm going to do this. What process, what steps did you take to be able to get to a point where you knew you could approach bands, where you could be a merch manager, where you could be a tour manager, where you could work with the sound guy, where you could do all this? Because it's not just something you're born knowing. So, I mean, did you educate yourself first and approach people, or did you approach people? You're like, fuck it, I'm just going to learn as I go.
I was thrown. Thankfully, I was in a band. I've been in bands and kind of done music literally since. Ooh, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I've been in bands, a lot of my life, and as a bassist, and most of the bands I've been a part of, I've been, I guess, like the creative driving force in the merch realms or in the website creation and just like kind of the tech realms, doing the back end for most of the bands. So
Right.
a lot of it has come from experience and then being able to put myself into um, this realm. So like when I moved down to Florida and kind of like really immersed myself into the reggae world, my brother gave me like my first, specific merchandise, merch role where I went on tour with him. And that was really what kind of exploded is like, um, I learned from him. He kind of gave me the idea to, the most part. He's like, dude, you can do this. You should be doing this. You're absolutely really, really, really good at
Right.
it. Get out there. And the thing about, and what I love about it is, I guess like my brother, is that he won't like necessarily say, this is how you do it, lay out all the framework, because he wants to see how you do it. Like he's a great brother in that sense of being able to. Um, he wants to see me build my own thing, and I more than appreciate
That's
that. So like I've
beautiful, man.
gone from
Yeah.
the concept to really, yeah, just getting out there. I had to build a website. I've been putting together the processes and building templates and trainings, and really it started off with like a directory. I wanted to be able to branch musicians with other musicians, like touring and for hire musicians, and then it kind of like
Sure.
branched out to, just needed to be crew, but everybody needs lighting directors, everybody, needs, not everybody, but could use, everything to make the night or the experience a little bit better for everybody, is really just where we're at. So went from went from there, got LLC, and then just been trying to do everything completely to the T, how we're supposed to be.
That's beautiful. You created like a
Yeah.
blueprint for survival, pretty much. You know what I mean? Like, and the cool thing is, I know you provide free trainings, diagrams, resources. Um, so I mean, it's definitely important to make it accessible, but I think it's also important to make it free, like you do, because I mean, if somebody's starting out in this industry, chances are it's like a new job. You know, you don't have any money. You know, like I don't have money to pay for all this stuff and to get all this training and knowledge. So I mean, the fact that you offer it free is absolutely phenomenal, man. You know what I mean? That's such a beautiful thing.
I've been trying to.
What types of resources do people seem to need? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're gonna. I was just gonna say like that's. It's been crazy and kind of hard to try to figure out how to build this all in like a free resource kind of model because you go online
Right.
and there's a subscription model for $5 a month and you can have all of the trainings that I want or something like that or that I give out
Right.
or um $10 for a template. Sometimes it's $100 for, some of those legal documents. And I think that's what I'm really trying to cut out of is like, especially, oh wait, okay. To segue into like the next question, because I think I was about to answer it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the types of resources people need the most, probably, right?
Yeah. And when it comes down to crew, so like the types of resources that I've made sure to offer first for free are like service agreements in between bands and crew. Because a lot of times people don't know how to confront or even, come up to the question about pay, right? And it's always like a weird question. And like, so there's models that you can frame off of to make that question a lot easier and just to make sure that everything moves a lot smoother. So like, there's lighting technician services agreements, there's sound tech service agreements, stagehand, tour management, transportation if you're a driver, merch manager, photography, videography, just all those like specifically for free. And then there's also like full on training, so 40 page, 50 page. I think I actually just released, actually I didn't just release in March, I released an ebook that is a full on training for being a merch manager and has a lot of examples of things to do, things not to do. It's a full on course. And they also have a stagehand one. I'm working on a tour management one. And some of the other resources that I've been actually really, really excited to accentuate, especially with everything that's going on right now, is like one is implementing a show stop protocol. So you can go to the Sitns website and you can type in all the different people that are part of your tour, like your tour manager, sound, and like what it does is it just like really breaks down what should happen in case of emergencies on stage, right? Say if there's a fallout in the crowd, like, hey, this is what we do as a band to make sure that everybody in the crowd is safe. Say there's
Sure.
some other crazy, any like, maybe there's like somebody pulls a gun or something, like what does the band do,
Yeah.
to react to this, and how do we make sure that everybody, stays safe in these kind of situations? There's a fire,
Or something
just
catches on fire. I mean, you know.
yeah. It's putting out the fires and like just having a
Yeah,
protocol set up for that on tours so that everybody even at the beginning of the tour if somebody as long as people have this stuff in their head then you can react to it and it makes it just a lot easier. So like show stop protocols. I've also got like a digital tip jar generator where bands can put in their pay information, and then it automatically generates like a giant QR that you can put on your, in front of your setup really quick if you need to print something
Sick.
out. So then you can,
Yeah.
take tips, so then you can take stuff like that because every little cent helps a touring artist.
Oh, it sure does, man.
Stage plot designers and a
Absolutely,
tour
man.
budget designer. It's kind of everything to help out the homies.
So crew members, like, they make the show happen. And then what do you think is the unseen work that people don't realize? Like every now and then you'll see a guitar tech come out on stage or something because of a broken string or something. But what is it that people don't see that makes the show happen, do you think?
Ooh, a lot of the pre-show stuff, I guess, when it comes down to making sure that all of the microphones have batteries. Well, let's
Sound check,
go
yeah.
even. Yeah. But I mean, that's even like pre-sound check. There's been times where, um, I was trying to think. There's been a couple times.
That's funny,
I
pre-sound
remember.
check. You're like, all right, why isn't this microphone working? Oh, fucking batteries in it. I get it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's important.
There's been a few times where for bands, I've had to run out and grab batteries for guitars. Pre-show.
Right.
Let's trying to think other like behind the scenes things. Ooh, printing out and making lanyards. The
Obviously, lighting, I think, I mean, because
lighting is
like whenever you walk into an event, yeah, the lighting's going good, the smoke machine's going good, the fog machine's going off, the sound is going good. Not many people walk in and think there's been somebody here since 6:30 this morning setting this shit up, or since yesterday, or if a big festival like EDC for 2 weeks. You know what I mean? Most people are just like, wow, this is really cool. They don't realize that for big scale festivals, there's hundreds of people in,
Yeah.
the background setting all this stuff up, I mean, and it's, those are the unsung heroes because how boring, even the events I've thrown, everything is extremely important. But I've always said the most important thing is the sound because if it sounds good, people are going to have a good time, man. But if the sound sucks, people are going to be miserable. We can't hear the vocalist. The guitar's feeding back. It's terrible. It's all jumbling together. I can't tell what they're playing. So. But a lot of people, they have no idea what goes into making music sound good, especially reggae music. You got to have that deep low end. That bass has got to resonate. You know what I mean? Because reggae is all about that drum and bass, and it's so important. So important. And like you said, a lot of people, they have no freaking clue what goes into selling merch. They just think, oh, it's a guy behind a table selling a T-shirt. And you have a blueprint for a merch manager. There's a lot more that goes into that. There's inventory that goes into it. There's money management that goes into it. There's organization that goes into it. There's keeping the fucking shirts not wrinkled. You know what I mean? Like
I struggle with that in my business.
folding them properly. You know what I mean? Like, and that band's relying on you to represent them, and that's just there's a lot of elements that go into making an event, proper because there's a million ways you can do it wrong, but there's a lot that goes into it, and I think that's pretty amazing that you're one of the people out there that's trying to educate the masses on how to do it properly,
I think
and
that
I could say this real quick. The quote that I close my podcast out with is: "There's strength in unity. Build your community." And me, Shane and I are probably partnered up. I've partnered up with bunch of people, sound guys, fire spinners, and I'm so glad to have Sitns music, you know what I mean, as a part of the not as a part of the community, as we're a part of the same community, you know what I mean? Because once again, you are such a valuable resource, man, especially for people like me and Shane and my wife who do small scale events and things like that, you know what I mean? You were one of the first people to show up to my last event, and you're awesome. You're there just to do anything and to help out, and that's a beautiful thing. But you're definitely an invaluable resource that I'm so glad is a part of the community and readily available because it is super, super, super important, man.
Yeah. Do you think you guys, like the backstage teams and stuff like that in front of the house crew, get enough credit? I mean, because I went to the concert you met my daughter at. She's got a degree in theater design and stuff like that and production. And she was like, that speaker stack weighs this much. That speaker stack weighs this much. The sound's off on this corner on this. They're using this program and all that stuff. And I was just like, how do you know all this? Like, but it was just her knowledge base just to even analyze that show as an audience member was unreal. How do you get that experience, or how do you quantify that?
That's interesting. I think we'll just start off with like you asking if we get like enough, if crew gets enough, what's the word? Praise or anything like
Recognition.
that. Yeah, recognition. I think that our recognition, a lot of it comes down with, the next day when you are reading reviews of how people felt, and when you're reading reviews, maybe people's like first at concert or if they had like any emotional experiences. I think that's
Yeah,
really
yeah,
where,
like
the
Facebook posts. Yeah,
yeah,
so
the recognition, and it's never again, it's never for the art, it's never for the crew or anything like that. And we don't care about that. I think when anytime somebody's like, this artist, made me feel this way, I think that's like a testament for the whole crew, right? Um,
yes,
it's for the festival, for the experience, because that means that you did, your job, that you were able to foster and like you were really, really able to put yourself and put love into what you did.
yes.
Awesome.
That's how. And speaking of putting love into what you did, man, I know with anybody with any career, there's a time you can step back when you're doing what you do and you get goosebumps because you're like, this shit is just running properly. You know what I'm saying? Managing a restaurant, and you have a perfect shift to running a farm like I do, where you or no, I don't run the farm, I'm working on the farm, but when you just have a good day, you know what I mean? And w- can you give us like one example of a time when you know, you and your crew executed just probably the most perfect show, and you sat back and you were like, "Damn, dude, everything just went off without a hitch, and it was beautiful." Do you have like one of those moments where you're like, this is the blueprint. This is how it should be every single time."
New Year's of 2023, Surfer Girl, Elevators, and Swayze were playing at Terra Firmata. It was a 2 day New Year's kind of
Nice.
New Year's Eve thing, and I remember specifically it was after the Elevators set. I was hanging out with Trevor, with Server Girls merch. Now he's doing Andy Frasco and a bunch of other people. But regardless, so I'm sitting there with him, and it was a point where we got to kind of just like sit down and relax for a couple seconds in between, sets.
Yeah.
Somebody had put off a bubble machine, and there was bubbles kind of floating into the palm trees. It was I'm trying to think. Elevators were playing all my favorite things, and it just like was one of those exact moments
Nice.
where everything you knew you were at the right place at the right time, and that was
Hell
also, you're like it's just growing. You're just like if we can make more of these experiences, people still talk about that
yeah.
night,
Yeah. That's great. That's such a great venue too, Terra Firmata. I saw the Movement play there. That was an absolutely fantastic show. They crushed it. It was sold out. I'm trying to remember. Refresh my memory, man. I'm such an idiot. The band who opened for him. The lead singer's name is Jay. The bass player's name is Bianca. They're a
Oh,
surf. They're like
Serenation.
surf rock. Jay, he does the
Serenation.
back. Yeah, he does the backflip. So I cannot believe
Yeah.
I forgot their name, dude. Yeah, Serenation. They opened. They put on an absolutely phenomenal show, and then Pacific Dub was in the middle, bro. I was like, damn, I've loved them for such a long time. And then the Movement came on and just crushed it. But that venue is such a beautiful venue because it's nice and Terra Firmata. It's nice and what I'm looking for. It's big enough where you can move around, but it's also intimate enough where you feel like you're up close and personal with the band. So that's awesome, though, man. So and then that's cool that a New Year's Eve show with three epic bands like that went off without a hitch like that because that's the show you want to go really well. because it's New Year's Eve. You know what I'm saying? Like, people are expecting a fantastic night. So the fact that you were able to execute that is absolutely phenomenal, man. And you listed Swayze, and the Elevators and Surfer Girl's inspirations. So mention their energy to me. I know you've already talked about your brother, but what is it about their energy or their culture that resonates with you as a person? You know what I mean?
The first, okay. I'll start off with like Johnny Blaze. The first time I met him, I had a harmonica around my neck, which actually, ironically, I have right here. But he carries a love
Nice.
tuner around his
Harmonically,
neck.
ironically.
Dude, it's a little mini harp too. Um, I
Oh, that's
met
cute,
them
man. I love
backstage
it.
right before their show in Madison, Wisconsin, and we started talking about music. I found out that this is literally in the same key as his Love Tuner. Me and him started. He looked at me and he's like, "Hey, man, so this is going to be a really, really, really cool experience. I want you to, feel what the Love Tuner is. It's and we did it together. He's just for a couple seconds, and then I want to say within um um a little bit, like literally every single other band that was part of that tour joined in this giant huddle. And we were all humming literally to the key of the Love Tuner. And the
Oh, sick.
presence
Oh wow.
that,
Kind
yeah,
of like
that we
meditating
had.
to Om, right?
hmm And that
That's
like
great, man.
brought me in spiritually, to kind of that realm. And
Yes,
then they had
man.
like one of the most amazing sets I've ever seen. And that was like the Elevators, showing like just their presence and their love and like just how much they believe in, the oneness and of the crowd, the fans, the
Yes.
people.
Amen.
Um, and I mean, Carter with Surfer Girl and Carter, Jack, Sam, the whole crew is like they bring another whole type of energy that ties everybody, together. They're
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's you when you see Carter on stage, just exploding and like giving every single little
Yes.
ounce of energy that he has. Um, there's
Yep.
it's hard. It brings me speechless to a lot of the times. And then when
So,
Swayze, when I huh?
Yeah.
oh, go ahead. You're talking about Swayze.
Oh, I was just gonna say like his culture that I found on his tours is like everybody sees him as like a big brother, which is also cool, as like the little brother to see all these people that are so influenced by him, but also like he's very, very straight to the point, and he'll like, he'll let you know when stuff is going on. And I remember Mike from Cloud9 Vibes was talking about this a couple days ago. He's like, like I put something down, and Swayze came up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, like in the nicest way. He's like, you may not want to put it right there, but if you put it over there, it's going to be a lot easier and it's going to help everybody out." And then with his so he has like that brotherly, "Hey, man, this is like the cool way to do stuff," and he treats everybody, literally on the same level. Um, he also brings a lot
That's
of
fantastic.
like a family culture, right? Like everybody is doing um,
Hmm.
sit-ups and push-ups together, on like workout days and stuff
Heck
like
yeah.
that, or cooking together. Like he just brings so much,
Yeah.
and he fosters that on his tours. Like he makes sure that everybody leaves as a family.
You're right. And you're talking about Surfer Girl and the Elevators, man. Those are two bands that have literally, like, I saw the Elevator, let's see, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, open for Tribal Seeds and Badfish on the road to, it was when Tribal Seeds was headed to Reggae Rise Up. So it was kind of one of their, like, on the road to Reggae Rise Up, like 3 days before Rise Up. So there weren't that many people there. So it was phenomenal. But John, the guitar player from the Elevators, was eating at the restaurant right next door. I'm sitting at the table. I'm kind of staring at him, and he's like, "What's up, man?" I was like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Thanks for coming out early." I was like, "Dude, can I just give you a hug and take a picture with you?" He's like, "Thanks for coming to see us so early." And there was probably 50 people there to watch him because the elevator is open. And if you look at their drive and how fucking huge they have gotten in this period of time. You know what I mean? It is mind blowing to think that they went from, a show where they were opening, where they would certainly be, headlining, and that's incredible. And to me, I ran into them backstage. I also saw you there at Point Break Festival in Virginia Beach. Their attitudes have not changed a bit. They're still the most humble fucking dudes on the planet.
Yeah.
They're extremely nice. They'll stop, give you a hug, take a picture, shake your hand, say thank you. And Surfer Girl, same way, man. They're just blowing up. They're absolutely phenomenal.
Surfer Girl was always interesting to me because I saw him over here in Daytona Beach at the Ocean Deck. They were opening for Hyrie. And then, but then goes back further, like bands we were watching 10 or 15 years ago, like Hyrie and Fortunate Youth and all that. They're opening for Soja. Now Fortunate Youth is headlining their own tour, and they have Bumping Uglies and Josh Heinrich's opening for them. So, how do you feel about the progression? Is like you see a band that had a 20-minute set 10 years ago is now headlining a tour. How does that feel?
I think there is
And knowing that you helped with that.
A small minuscule part. I think like the music and the musicians like speak for themselves. We're just here to try to help a little bit. But like I think Surfer Girl is a great example of that because what they just put on, Carter said, is the biggest show ever that Surfer Girl has had at Terra Firmata. They sold out day of, and
Sold out.
it was such an awesome experience.
That's
But
fantastic, man.
they destroyed it.
But what's next? I mean, I'll forget. I was at the venue in Deland, man, Cafe Da Vinci, and I was and rest in peace, Ayaterra. What a damn shame. They were definitely one of my favorite American reggae bands. But Nate was on stage. He's like, "We sold this motherfucker out on a Thursday night." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and it's really neat to see, these bands that grind so hard that they go from, like Shane said, 20-minute opening sets or 20-minute sets at a festival to selling out mid-level venues. Man, that's such an absolutely beautiful thing. But that, and what you do goes into that severely. You know what I mean? Because if somebody goes out and sees a band and the sound sucks, chances are they're going to have a bad experience. They're not going to want to go back, no matter how good the band might be. So what you guys do is definitely an extremely integral part of everything that's going on, man. So as far as all your beautiful stuff that you have, man, all your blueprints, all that, do you find yourself having to go in and edit and change that stuff? I mean, is there industry standards that change, or does it pretty much kind of stay the same? Or like with new technology comes new ideas, comes new ways to do stuff. Is it like ever evolving, or is it kind of like cave diving? I have a book that was written in the 70s for cave diving, and it's still the book they use to teach cave diving today, because the rules will never change. If you're not careful, you will die. And that's about it. But I was just wondering if there were any if it was constantly evolving, or if it's kind of just something that's set in stone.
I feel like that also, as a question that a lot of crew people would answer differently. I think it's ever changing.
Sure.
There's so much different things that like processes change, especially when like POS is. But there is always certain things that are set in stone. Stuff that I'm also learning.
Sure.
Like as a TM, one of my things that I probably would say that is brand new, not brand new, but just making sure, like especially with advancing, is making sure that if you don't get a cash transfer that night, get cash. Um,
Right,
you know,
right, right. Don't walk
um,
away from the money, is what you're saying.
yeah. I mean, sometimes there's venues that'll be like, "Hey, we'll send you a wire transfer on a Monday, on the Monday forward." But like, never leave, yeah, never leave a venue without getting paid. That's like, but
Yes.
that's like one of the solid to dos. And then a sound guy, certain sound guys will say different, but at the same time, we're using grandmas now, and where we used to be using Behringers, or we used to be using Mackeys, or you know um everything, lighting has changed. I love being able to watch the innovations that lighting people have been able to use. I've been seeing like
Yeah,
NPCs being used as like, full-on lighting controllers, which is absolutely crazy.
Mhm.
Um,
that's nuts.
yeah, so I would say it's ever changing. I've had to change a lot of my processes and just add in, right? And I think that's the nature of it. You can't ever be complacent as well. Everything is evolving.
You're right, man. Yeah, and if you sit too long, you're gonna miss something, right? So you always got to be on your game, up in definitely up in it. Kind of like computer graphics, man. I went to college when I first started. It was the very first thing I went for. Then I changed my major to be an English teacher. But I went, and that they still had the Macintosh G3 computers. So now I mean, I have no idea what the fuck I'm doing with any of it. Everything I learned is completely obsolete, and it's one of those things. If you don't stay with the industry, you're not going to be up to date, and you're definitely going to fall behind. So because people are moving on, whether you want to or not. So I think, like, once
Yeah.
again, that's really important why you're doing what you're doing, keeping people up to date, and with all these manuals and constantly changing them, because when the industry updates, you got to update with it, man.
Yeah, and I had to do the same with my designs. I had to teach myself everything, and then there's some designs like the shirt you're wearing. That's 4 different programs I use to make that design.
Yes, dope shirt, by the way. Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Peace, love, compassion. I love it.
that's layered in 4 different types of creative programs.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. And yeah, Shane
It was a
stuff.
lot of
Yeah,
work.
yeah. You got to visit. We'll have to work. Do you have any merch, man?
I'm in the process of making some merch,
Sitting
but I do
or
have
sitting
merch on my website. A lot of
sit-ins
drop
merch?
shipping, and
Beautiful,
then I've
man.
also been making some like random stuff because I'm also a musician as well, but
Let
not
me see
getting
that
towards
real
that.
quick. Pull that hat up close to the
This is
camera.
silly.
Well, can I? No, it's not. That's dope, bro. I love that,
That's
man. That
awesome.
is super sick, bro. That's retro. That's like '70s style, but modern at the same time. That is freaking sick.
I appreciate it.
You know who would love that
Get some
hat?
to you.
Um, I had him on the show. How am I forgetting the rest of his name? Larry.
Oh,
Um,
bearded Larry.
the bearded
Oh,
Larry. Yeah, he
Bearded
would
Larry.
love
I
that
love
hat.
Bearded Larry. He's
He
got a
would
couple
love that
videos
fucking
of
hat.
me.
If you see, yeah,
Yeah, I literally
he's a
every
great
single
guy. I did.
time that I've been trying to like do interviews with bands at festivals, I swear like I'll run into Bearded
Yeah,
Larry and then like I'm left walking
yep.
up to the bands like, okay, we're gonna have to do this next time because I just ran into Bearded Larry and I can't see.
Yep. That's awesome, man. Yeah, well, speaking of Bearded Larry and doing interviews with bands and all that, I just put out my Point Break podcast. I put it out last night, so it's out now. It's the one. It's 35 minutes long. I did all the interviews with the bands. I did interviews with the artists. Did crowd interviews. Got music. Did a lot of band footage. So it's a really 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 cool one. But the Bearded Larry's on there. He's an absolute trip, man. Especially when he talks about his hat. I love that guy so much, man. So, what's and kind of I want to ask you two questions at once. But say somebody got a hold of you. They're like, I want to get into this. I want to do this. What's one of the most common misconceptions about people getting into the music industry? I mean, do they just approach you and they want to do this? They've never done it before and they think it's easy, and then they realize that using a square isn't so easy. I've just cost this man $3,000 because I didn't even know how to take money the first 3 nights. I mean, is that kind of a misconception? People thinking a lot of this shit's easier than it is, and they don't really need to study, and then they find themselves in a pickle.
I think yeah, probably that or like the amount of party time. I think people take as a misconception. Like I honestly I don't drink or I really keep I want to say partying to I mean minimal, especially when it comes on tour. Like I'll be the first
Yeah.
person as I'll drop off the band, at the bar or like at the after party and then bring the van to the Airbnb or something like that to make sure that everything is kosher before even trying to step out. And I think
Right.
yeah, people don't realize that like when we come in as crew, like we're here to make sure that the band can party and have fun, but also like make sure that the band is, to where we need to be. Because a lot of times the bus call is maybe 1 o'clock in the morning because we have to be at or even like midnight. Maybe we have to leave the venue right after the show to get to the 4 7 hour drive for the next morning's
Right.
1 o'clock load in. I think that's something that people also
Nice.
misconcept is that like we are it's a lot less of doing all the stuff and the exploring that you want to do when you're on tour, and it's
Sure. It's work.
venues, parking lots, yeah, and a lot of a lot of organization.
Sure, man, 100%. And yeah, like like you said, people are like, oh, you get to tour the United States to see the world. It's like, motherfucker, I'm working every single night until 2 a.m. and then we're doing this and then we're doing that. But one beautiful thing that I like that you said, about 15 years ago, I owned a record label called Funky Flavor Music. It was like a techno breakbeat label, and I managed artists like small scale artists, but something that people would ask me, what does an artist manager do? I said, I pretty much do everything that the artist doesn't want to do. So they can focus on being a good DJ and doing all that. I'll pick them up, take them to the show, deal with the venue owners, pretty much everything that they don't want to do, like you said earlier, so they can focus on the music. And I love that you said that because that is a good artist manager. That is a good tour manager. That's a good manager in general. When you take the load off of the person that you're working for or working with, so they can focus on the most important thing to them, and that's executing what they need to execute. And in your case, that's the musicians being able to focus wholeheartedly on the music, or say they want to write lyrics, or they're in a creative mode. If they got a ton of other shit to do, their phone's ringing off the hook, they got to go chase down money. They're not going to be creative anymore. They're going to be pissed. You know what I mean? So I know. I know. Yes, I wanted to compliment you on saying that because that's definitely awesome, man. I wish more people would abide by that in every industry. You know what I mean? Make it easier for the next person. So we can all focus on what we need to do and get it done, man. So, what are kind of like the next big steps? Are you expanding sit-ins? Are you trying to make it? I mean, you have a lot going on now. You pretty much cover the entire gamut of touring and event planning and all that kind of stuff. Are you like are you what's next, man? Or what's your expansion goal look like? Do you have like a 5 year plan, you think, or is there anything that you want to throw in there?
There is a 5 year plan, and I think like right now
Nice.
I have been making sure like this last couple of years I've been making sure and trying to encompass myself in all the different roles that I possibly can. This last year in itself, I've done a run I think in every single role. Like I've done front of house, I've done merch management, I've done tour management. I've
Right.
driven also, and then some of those is just like all encompassing roles to make sure that like I can be as good a teacher as I possibly can. And then it
Yeah.
is like a lot of people do hit me up and like they'll be like, hey, we're looking for a merch guy in this town, or hey, can you help me find somebody like that? And I think really the expansion is like finding and building more people that can go
Sure.
out like me, not and teach. And I
Sure.
guess it's really yeah, just figure out a way that we can. My biggest goal is I don't know if you guys remember like Reverb Nation. Reverb Nation is
Oh
still
hell yeah.
around, but
Yeah.
it's not like what it used to be. And if I
Right.
could reach out to all of those like starting bands, and like catch that market regardless of genre. I think that's like what the thing is. I also want to branch out into genres because like there's a lot of band
Yeah.
just there's so many bands with untapped talent that don't
Yeah.
have like the management skills or the merch skills or just
Right.
like anything like that that's like innate that can help them just make sure that they can make their music their living, so we don't
Man,
have to work in realms where, a lot of us aren't accepted. I
yeah.
understand that
Yeah.
like the reggae world or, working I understand the 9 to 5s aren't necessarily my jive, right? Like, um,
Right. Well, shit, they ain't mine either. I just have to do it, bro.
right. Yeah, we get
Yeah, and
out
I
there, we
just
have to.
Yeah.
it's funny because people ask me all the time. They're like, well, "You were a nurse for 34 years, weren't you?" I was like, "Well, yeah." They're like, and I was like, "I stepped away." They're like, "What do you do now?" I sell T-shirts,
Yeah.
and
Right.
just to make them like a what? It's more than that. I'm building a community around us.
Absolutely.
So
And so basically, what him speaking of building a community, your 5 year plan, I kind of look at it like, and correct me if I'm wrong, like you've built almost like a college or like a university, like a learning institution where you can educate people, they can go out to the field. So you're trying to expand your university, make your learning institution bigger to be able to reach a broader base of people, because you're right, man. There might be bands out there that have no fucking idea that they need a band manager, that they need, like Tim Azzy, the booking agent.
Love to, yeah.
What he does, yeah, I had him on my podcast. What he does is fucking mind blowing. I'm like, dude, there's no way in hell I could ever do that mapping and being able to for that many bands at one time. I would lose my mind. You know what I mean? I would go absolutely ape shit. I don't know
The
how he
world
does
needs a
what he does.
thousand Tim Nazis.
And he loves it too. His attitude is phenomenal, bro. But he's such an amazing guy. But yeah, dude, he's really good at what he does. And the cool thing about Tim, I love analytical people. They love it. My wife's the same way. She's like, I love spreadsheets. I'm like, that fuck that, man. That's crazy.
I'm a spreadsheet guy
That's
myself.
awesome, man. So I'm looking forward to going over all your stuff, man. Because like doing the events that we're doing, we have some stuff in the pipeline that's coming up too.
oh yeah,
I'll definitely be in contact with you, but I need to start educating myself on certain things as well, so I can share the knowledge and teach people to be able to do it. And I'll also throw myself in your hat. You know what I mean? Be in the pipeline in this area if bands ever need merch guys or anything like that. You know what I mean? I have I've got a little experience
Good
doing
experience,
that.
right?
I wouldn't put me behind the soundboard, or I wouldn't put me as a lighting tech, but there's
You'd be a
some
great
stuff I
stage
can do, man.
manager.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I actually for a couple of electronic events back in the day when I had the record label, I did stage management. So that was something that I was good at, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it, man. Talking to the artist, getting them ready. Hey, you got 10 minutes, you got 5 minutes, let's do this rock and roll, getting them amped up. I loved it, man. It was it was fun, dude. And that's how you get up close and personal with the artists, and you're in the music, you're a part of the music, and that's a beautiful thing. I love that. You're part of what's making it go around. That's a beautiful. So yeah, man, throw me down, bro. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll definitely be talking to you. But so I know you want to do different genres. That's a beautiful thing, man. And you just kind of explained your long term goal for Sitns. And you have a 5 year plan. That's a beautiful thing. So now that people kind of understand what you do, they know they have a resource. Anything to do with anything music related, if they want to know how to do it, they can get in contact with you. What's the one message that you would share with anyone hoping to work in music right now, whether on stage or behind the scenes? Some advice.
A lot of people are going to say that it's not possible and that it's not feasible and that it's not doable. And as long as you really like, it's with anything. If you dedicate yourself and you figure out and treat it like a job, and treat it like your career, and make sure that, I mean, not treat it like, make sure that, if it's something that you want to do, make sure that it is something that you want to do, and just put yourself into it, fully and
Sure.
immersively.
so
Um,
I
that's the
like
only
that.
way I
Push
think
yourself
that,
into it. That's
yeah.
yeah.
yeah, all in, go big or go home. So where can people find Sit in Music, and like what handles, social media, website, stuff like that? Where's the best way to get your message out there and your people to get in touch with you?
I use Instagram is probably my main. We use Instagram, and all the handles are the same. Sitins Music, Sitns Music. And so it's Instagram. I've got a TikTok. We're posting on YouTube as well. We'll be doing a lot of webinars coming up, based off of YouTube and I think Twitch as well. I'm a huge Twitch fan.
Oh, sick.
Um, I think those are gonna. I guess that's really one of the next big steps as well. And the website. The website is a treasure trove of all of the resources encompassed. So it's just sittensmusic.com. To double check, but it is.
Nice. And if you ever want to add podcasting to that, you know what I mean? You're trying to expand. If you, yeah, I would gladly do a webinar on how to use certain software and mixers and all that fun stuff. So, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. I love sharing knowledge too. You know what I mean? It's just it's fun when you have something that somebody else is interested in. You're able to actually, you know, kind of share it with them and grow the community. You know, I wish there was a lot more reggae podcasts out there. You know, I had one of my friends mention to me about somebody else who started a podcast and you know, a reggae podcast. They're like, oh, you have competition. I was like, there's no such fucking thing as competition
There's
in this
not.
community. I was like, that's insane. Don't ever say that. I was like, I'm glad. And what I like to do is have podcast hosts on my podcast and talk to them about their podcast and then be on their podcast. They talk to me because we all have completely different platforms. You know what I'm saying? So
Right, right.
I just I love having people like you on. You know, it's not just bands and artists; it's the behind the scenes people. It's the booking agents like Tim Azzy that I like to have on. You know, I just and obviously the artists and the musicians as well. But I think people need to get an inside look, and I like the fact that you know I use this platform to give everybody kind of like a well-rounded dose of you know what goes into reggae music, just music in general, man. Now I got one last question for you. Sit-ins. Where'd you come up with the name
So Siddons,
and
it's
the spelling?
literally SITNS. So it
Uh huh.
was, I mean, it's literally just sit-ins. I was trying to find like an acronym really that
Yeah.
like meant, hey, we're a bunch of like
Yeah.
hire for guns or something like that. The people that are like literally sitting in into the back
Uh huh.
end in the front of the show. And then it kind of just built into, so stands now is, well, actually, I still need to figure it out. I need to work it out a little bit better, but it's supporting the music network with an S on the end.
Nice. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah.
I like it, man. You can come up with an acronym for that, definitely, man. I was trying to come up with one right now, but it's not gonna work out. So, stage is in time now, son. But
Ooh, I like that.
um, right? Stage is in time now. And then you can make the S something different. You don't have to do son. But stage is in time now. Sound in time. Stage is sound. I don't know, man. Something. We'll come up with something cool, man. I like to do fun stuff like that, man. I'm not good at math, but I was very good at
Wordplay is
English.
good.
But yes, 100%, man. So throw out some final words for the fans, the crews, and the artists tuning in, man.
Ooh, go to as many shows as you possibly can. Go to as many festivals, and like if you're trying to get into the world, start talking to the people that are doing the back end. When you're at a festival, sound guys, if they're not busy, love to have a cool little conversation. If anything, like we love to nerd out on, talking about the mixing or on, what the artists are like or what artists we're working with, or if you want to know like some certain frequencies that you should or should not use, like um, just ask questions. And if obviously if somebody's busy, like they'll try to give you other time. But I would say one of my favorite things in the world is like going around like Reggae Rise Up and Florida Groves and Point Break and like going up to the techs and like just kind of seeing what their world is like. Obviously they're also working, so respect to that. But
Yeah,
it's cool
right.
to see how everybody's like running their world and like especially in these festivals, and I guess that's where I'm taking a lot of like my knowledge is just by watching how successful stuff is working. Well, Rise Up is a amazing example of that. Shout out to Paul King. Uh,
Absolutely.
I
Yes,
think
yeah, I
of
love that festival. I'm
you
glad you
guys.
said
Hmm?
that. Oh, thank you, man. No, I was gonna say I'm glad you actually said that. Have respect for the techs because they are working. It was funny, man. When I used to book DJs all the time, you'd have people walk in the club and they'd walk up to the DJ booth, while he's got his headphones on, while he's mixing, screaming a song. Can you play this song? It's like he's fucking working, man. Can you give him a second? You know, he's trying to mix a track. It's not as easy as it looks, you know what I mean? Especially back in the vinyl days. But yeah, it's awesome that you said that. And to build your community a little bit more, the guy that did the sound for my event, he has a podcast called the Sound Guy Podcast. He is one of the most talented sound people I've ever met in my entire life. He does it professionally in South Carolina, but if you ever need a good sound guy, he's done Bump and Ugly sound. Well, they had their sound guy, but he did the house sound. But he travels all over, does everything, and he's a really awesome dude to work with. So if you want somebody else in your directory, he's an absolutely fantastic guy to have.
I think they met, haven't they?
Oh, yeah, Dwayne, he was a sound guy at my event. Yeah, he's a legend, dude, man. He knows. Yep. He's smart. He's good at what he does, man. So, well, dude, from manuals to blueprints to everything that you need to know about the industry, from merch to band management to tour management, John, thank you so much for going the extra mile, educating people, putting it on paper, giving people a place to find it, constantly updating it, staying up to date with the industry, making sure everybody has all of the information that they need to be successful. And if they don't, they can ask you a question. You can explain things to them, and you do it because you love it. That's amazing, bro. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your morning to come on the podcast with me and Shane and talk about what you do. I think it's about time people put a name with a face, because like I said, you're an extremely humble guy and you don't walk around boasting about what you do, so people just see you running around doing all sorts of things. But I think everyone is like, I wonder what exactly is he doing, and who is this nice guy that
dancing behind
that
the
keeps
table,
running past me. So so much, man.
No, thank you.
That?
Shane and Scott, you guys are brothers. I appreciate this opportunity. Oh, I was just saying, the guy that's dancing behind the
thanks for
table
being-
is normally also where you can catch me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
And
beautiful.
thanks for being supporting and being part of the Island Rhythm community, dude. Like, it's people like you that make me get up in the morning to do what I do. And it's, there's a lot of, like, you're right. Music is a business and not a lot of people realize it. And the more people realize it's a business, maybe, so it's just guys like you make it work for us. So
Absolutely. And the Island Rhythm and Hippie-Fari just merged together as a partnership now. We're media, we're apparel. It's everything. Like I said, we're growing the community. You know what I mean? And the way to do that is to partner with people and to put two heads together and just make stuff work. And that's why I'm glad you were on, man. It's just another beautiful resource to grow this community. So thank you so much. Definitely looking forward to seeing you again. I'm going to be talking to you after this podcast because there's definitely some information I need to get from you. And let me go ahead and say this. There is strength in unity. Build your community. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on TikTok. Hippie-Fari, Hippie-Fari. I'm the only Hippie-Fari in the entire world. You can find me. Shoot me an email, hippiefarirreggae@gmail.com, and check out my website, hippiefari.podbean.com.
And go ahead and check me out at the Island Rhythm on Facebook and Instagram, and islandrhythm.com for some of the dopest reggae Rasta inspired accessories, gear, and coffee.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
yes, hook it up and give us a shout out. We have an email there. You can hit us up and say, hey, we like your products and stuff like that. So thanks for talking to us, man.
And if you like reggae, Rasta inspired gear, get on the mailing list. He's got a great newsletter. But this is Scotty, the high-strung hippie, Kira, the Ira Empress, and the host that makes it matter, Mr. Shane Scott, reminding you to speak your mind before somebody else does it for you. Now do something nice for somebody today. Grab flowers for your partner, smoke out a stranger, slip the homeless man a buck. But whatever you do, do it from the heart, because all good things start with the heart. Peace, love, and Rasta rhythms are all a part of that reggae revolution.
Peace be the journey, y'all.
One love, fam. Cool.